Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties and Alliance Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. Yep, that's who we are. So what does that look like? It means that we do all the things that you as a mold maker don't want to do, or that you don't have the time to do, or the capacity to do. Let's face it, it's hard to find people, right? You can't find somebody to do every single job that you need done in the shop. That's why we come in and we specialize in certain things that you don't want to do. Things like polishing, things like laser welding and engraving, hot runner repair and cleaning, preventative mold maintenance and adjustments. That's our specialty. You have your specialty, we have ours, and we're here to help you get through those challenges that you have and get you up and running as fast as possible. Along with that, we also have a line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment that we make here in Prairie Grove, Illinois. It's not stuff that we're bringing in overseas. It's stuff that we're making here so that we can always continue to support your needs. And if you have any issues, you're not getting somebody with a clipboard dialing in and they're trying to problem solve with you. You're actually getting the people that build the machine that know it inside and out. So we are here to help you in whatever capacity we can, whether that's service, whether that is buying machines, using machines. We want to be your one-stop shop. And that's us in a nutshell. We also have a sign shop in Macomb, Illinois. And as crazy as that sounds, the reality is just as crazy. But if you are in Southern Illinois, you're in the Macomb area and you are looking for signage for your business, for your car, whatever that looks like, we did get into that game and it's going really well. That's something that we can talk about in another show at another time. But it's called Sign Makers of Macomb. There's a website for it. Go on there. And my brother Chris is working out there and he will be able to help you out. That's it, right, Vanessa? I got through all those. We are a live show. I see that there are people watching with us right now, which is awesome. Do me a favor and put your name and your company in the chat. Whatever streaming platform you're watching this on, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, go ahead and put your name and your company name in the chat, and we will give you a shout out. This show is all about marketing. There is no easier way to get your name out there today than to join the conversation, ask some questions, put your name in the chat. We want to talk to you, and that's what we're doing. That's why we have this show. The Manufacturing Alliance is a show dedicated to U.S. manufacturers and their struggles, their successes. How do we keep this thing going here in the United States? There are a lot of people that are offshoring. That is a big thing right now. COVID slowed that down a lot, but I feel like people are going back to offshoring and that's a little bit of an issue. But the only thing we can do about it is keep getting better and realize that we need to work together here in the States. So that's what this show is. You are not going to get a lot of charts and graphs and things like that. What you're going to get is stories and the things that make people better and their learning experiences and things like that. So today I'm excited because I love talking about marketing. It's one of my passions. It's one of my favorite things. It's what I went to school for. I think it's one of those things that every company can do better at. And it's really just telling your story. And my guest today is Jared Falkner from Vive Marketing. Let's bring him in. Come on. Jared, there you are.
Here.
Thanks in this beautiful kitchen, which, I mean, it looks so nice. Did you decorate it or did your wife decorate it?
It was a mixture of both of us, but the cups were my idea. The flowers were from her brother, so I can't take credit for that one.
Yeah, anytime somebody comes to my house and they're like, "Oh, your house is so beautiful," I'm like, "Yeah, it's my wife." I just nod and go along with it and know that she's going to do a good job. That's my role in that. Or maybe I'll try and hang a hook every once in a while. Little basic things like that. Yeah, it's not pretty when I'm trying to do housework.
But, of course, it was my turn to make the decisions when it came to the nursery, right? It wasn't to put the wall together and desks together and those unruly IKEA furniture that take a few hours to build, right?
Yeah, when you talk about design, there's nothing more challenging than those IKEA. I guess they're instruction manuals. You got to try and figure out which direction it's going. It could be a hot mess.
The 45-page manuals. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But it always comes together. Most of our furniture at my house is from IKEA because we've got two kids, 17 and 13 now. And we decided we were not investing in quality furniture until we knew that they weren't going to destroy it.
It stays pretty sturdy.
It does. It works really, really well.
Yes.
So before we jump into some stuff, Jared, tell people what Vive is all about.
Cool. Vive is all about marketing for manufacturers. So we work in a space of mold builders, extruders, injection molders, thermoformers, and so forth, service providers. We support them with their needs for marketing. So anywhere from website development, social media management, trade show displays, email marketing campaigns, SEO, PPC, case studies, white papers. We found a niche and we love supporting the manufacturing industry.
Yeah, I've been noticing you guys at shows for a very, very long time. There's really there's two companies in the manufacturing space. It seems like when it comes to marketing, and you guys do a really, really good job of that. Seeing you at the shows, walking the trade shows, just getting your name out there and being unique, which is good. Real quick, want to give a couple shout outs because I said I would, and this is the proof. Angie from Exceed is listening to us. Angie, thank you for joining us. Make sure that you chime in with any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns. And our friend Melissa Shearer is watching and listening with us as well. So love the input from you guys. Love the participation. Thank you for doing that. So I was able to meet you at PT Expo, right?
Correct.
What did you think of that show?
I liked it. It was the second time I went. I went to the first initial when it launched, and then this year. I liked it. I thought that when we went, it was pretty standard. I liked how the booths were displayed. I went on the first day, I believe, so I don't think the traffic was as heavy as I heard maybe the second day was.
Yep.
I'm still always very intrigued in how the booths are put together and all of actually the new light boxes that are being displayed in the trade show booths that you didn't see 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. It's like anything else, right? The technology comes out and then it gets a little bit cheaper year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait till giant LED panels are more affordable.
Mm-hmm. And those touchscreen displays that are kind of fun to mess around on and move things around, be active.
Yeah. Were there things that stood out to you and you don't have to name names of companies, stood out? Were you surprised to see how some companies were advancing in their booth display and some maybe need to advance?
Sure, there were some that were a little minimalistic, you could say, and then others that I would say went the extra mile to showcase some of their equipment or differentiators as a company. But overall, it seemed to be like the same players were in the same space, if that makes sense, with their same booth sizes and same locations. So their presence, I don't want to necessarily say it's mandatory, but you seem to see it year after year, whether you're going to FabTech, PT Expo, IND, MAP Association, and so forth.
And I mean, that's a big part of it, right? You have people asking all the time, and I'm sure you guys hear it at Vive. What is going to be my ROI on this experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it all boils down to that pre-post, during engagement, articulating that ROI through email marketing campaigns, social media campaigns, and presence, all deliverables throughout your booth. So it can be actually articulated, that ROI from trade show, maybe some videos that you created for your trade show booth, and so forth. So it is a good opportunity to display your showcase your brand.
I think my opinion has always been that it's nearly impossible to like guarantee or tell somebody what the ROI on a trade show is going to be, for instance,
Right.
because you don't know what level of effort they're going to put into the actual show time,
Mm-hmm.
or the follow-up side of it.
Right.
I think, what you can say, or you don't know who's going to show up. I mean, that's the other part, right? There's no guarantee in that. You could have the greatest booth ever, but we've been to some shows where, it's a ghost town. It's just crickets. There's no amount of effort you can do, and there's no way to see that coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do talk a lot with our clients and prospects about the importance of sales and marketing alignment, right? So if we're generating all these leads at a trade show and then the sales team isn't following up with either their emails, their responses, and things they promised to a potential prospect that came to visit the booth, then the business is not going to prosper from those opportunities.
So when you're working with a customer, do you go down that road? Do you help their sales team as well develop the follow up message, or how to start converting some of those leads into sales?
Sure. Yeah. So we do develop a messaging platform, consistent messaging throughout. So on those social media channels, on the website, on trade show displays, on the boilerplates, and so forth. And we are currently actually working potentially with trying to build a more cohesive partnership with another sales practice prospecting business to help identify and unify the sales and marketing initiatives after those trade shows, for an example.
Yeah, I think that's one of those big things, right? You can get all the leads you want to, but if you don't follow up properly afterwards,
Hmm.
all that effort is for nothing.
Right. And if you don't, you know somebody else is.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we found is something that you mentioned is, if you don't show up, if there's somebody that decides one year not to go to a show for whatever reason, um, people walking the show or the other people that are exhibiting start thinking the worst. Like,
Mm.
what happened to
Yeah.
XYZ? Why aren't they here? And then the rumor mill starts up, right? Are they closing? Are they hurting? What's happening with them?
Right. Without naming names, I think I've asked myself that question a few times at these shows.
Yeah, yeah, because you expect to see certain people there, and if they don't come in, it's kind of like, why? Where are they? What happened?
Right. Yeah, the revenue declined. Did they not find this to be a good opportunity for their brand? Did they think the traffic was light? Was there some insider information I didn't know? So it is questionable, right, when people don't show up. But or the people who pay for the booths, right? The businesses that pay for the
It,
booth, and then simply just they don't show up at all.
that's the one I don't understand, because
Right.
you paid, you're not getting your money back. Um, at least come and set up a table, and just like shake hands as people are walking by.
Right. Put out a candy dish and a sign that says "See you next year."
Something, right?
Yeah.
But when you just don't show up, I mean, I think it looks bad to you as an organization. It looks bad to the group that's putting it on, whether that's, Gardner Business Media or whoever it is. It's sending a message about who you are as a business. You're better off going there and pulling the name down than just not showing up at all.
Or could it, devil's advocate here, could it be a strategic move and they don't show up so someone goes and searches them on Google and goes to the website to see if they are still around, and then they got users on their website?
I mean, maybe.
Strategic, I don't know.
I'm not a gambling man. That's not really a risk I would take.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I know how
no-
much these booths cost. I'm not gonna spend that much and not show up.
yeah, I never find luck on the roulette table either, so I'm not a gambling man myself.
Yeah. So I want to run through some of the things that you have on here, because you did a really, really solid job of putting together outlines. And I know you've got a lot of expertise in the things that you want to talk about. One of those is Google Ads. Tell me your opinion on Google Ads.
So I love Google Ads, but lately I've been getting a lot of questions if Bing advertisements are worth kind of mixing together, having like a mixed solution. And right now, I would still say that Google Ads is taking the reign when it comes to having a digital SEM advertising presence, just because of the abundance of traffic Google gets and how they're continuously growing. And not only that Alphabet owns Google, but they also own YouTube too. So there's some nice synergies between both of those enormous companies.
Yeah, I for a long time I haven't been a fan of Google Ads, like the pay per click, right? I haven't been a fan of pay per click for a long time, because I prefer the organic search model.
Hmm.
Um and I did those for a very long time, and I just felt like, man, it's a buyer's game, right? You want to show up, you got to pay more money. And I hated that. I hated that so much that I just couldn't get on board with it. And now, as someone searching, I won't click on any of the top ones that I know are like the sponsored ads.
Right.
I wait, I scroll down until I get to the ones that are what I feel to be organic.
Okay. So you just do it out of stubbornness for the advertisers, or because you really appreciate the SEO that was put into the organic? you're
Yeah,
getting.
part of it is I really appreciate the SEO that went into the organic part of it,
Mhm.
and I feel like if they show up organically, then their content is really, really solid.
I agree with that. I agree
It's
with that.
not, and I know when I'm looking, I don't have time to be like putzing through different things, or it'll be, I want to click on a website, and the one that comes up as the sponsored link is something that takes me to a different splash page that doesn't tell me the information that I want to go to.
Mhm.
And I think maybe I'm just an educated browser, and I know how to get to the information that I want. But part of it is also like just out of spite that I don't want to encourage that bad behavior.
So yeah, the reason I like is because a lot of Vive's clients are brands that are reviving their brand, right? And
Okay.
are trying to establish a digital presence that they maybe haven't had before. Uh,
Sure.
their current and or previous marketing firms didn't really do an excellent job of their messaging, their content, and their branding. So I don't want to say all of them, but some of them are starting from the bottom and working their way up. So that's why I like utilizing ads to build that presence in the brand reputation and the recognition, and then work on all of that content on the website.
And I think that makes sense, right? Because it's the fastest way to get your brand seen.
Correct. And if you like, for example, I use injection molding as an example. If you're using one of those SEM tools like SEM Rush, for example, and you type in injection molding in their keyword planner, you'll actually see that there's 8 to 9 million results that'll come up for injection molding. So if you think about all those companies out there, all of those third-party blog websites, all of those maybe associations that are writing content about injection molding, it can be pretty difficult to rank for injection molding
Yeah.
if you're not active and posting 10, 12, 14 blogs per month.
Right. And that definitely has a point. And especially for those companies that are hiring a Vive, or going from no marketing to some marketing, or they had a website from, like 1990, and they never updated anything, and you finally convince them to make some changes. You have to start somewhere.
Yes. And I was actually just speaking to, I feel bad for this company, speaking to a company the other day, and their current marketing firm actually built them a whole new atmosphere in a digital presence, a website, and they didn't click that little button that says index. So
Oh,
for the last 3 years, they've had this beautiful website, and if you typed in even their brand name on Google, it wouldn't show up because it's non-indexable. So that was like one of the worst things you could possibly hear as a digital marketing guy.
yeah. You went through the hard work, you made a beautiful presence, and you're not getting any credit for it.
Absolutely zero.
It's like when you go to do your workout and you forget to start your watch.
Oh, that happens to me constantly. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
It's like it doesn't count.
So
There's no
degrading.
proof.
So degrading. Right.
Yeah. And
Or yeah,
you go like halfway through and you look down and you're like, son of a bitch. Now I got to work out another 30 minutes.
I completely agree. Or you're doing, let's say, like a weightlifting and you hit running on accident. So now
Yes.
you're getting all your calories incorrectly.
Not only that, but it's like at the end, it's telling you you didn't go very far. You're like,
Oh,
that's not the
right.
purpose of this workout.
Right. I've been walking from set to set. I haven't been running on that treadmill. Right.
Yeah.
Makes me look bad. Well, especially when my mother-in-law gets my updates of completed workouts, right? And she's saying, "Oh, that's 128 calories, Jared. What's that?" Yeah.
So it's very similar to, when you don't do the things properly for marketing, you're putting in work. I guess it really is. You're putting in work that nobody's going to see, right?
Mhm.
And when it comes to your workouts, it really doesn't matter if anybody sees it, or if you're getting credit for the results, because your body's going to show it. But when it comes to marketing, you really need to get the credit for the results. I mean, you're putting in work.
Mhm.
Uh, Marketing, I think, is one of those forgotten stepchildren that, especially what I see in the injection molding area or the mold building area, is that people just kind of they want to survive by word of mouth.
Right. And in manufacturing, I understand that because there's third generation companies, right, who
Sure.
can step down from grandpa to dad to now son, and they've been doing it all about word of mouth this whole time. And I completely understand that, but it does come to a time like COVID, for example,
Yep.
when you don't have a marketing plan in place and now you're struggling and panicking because you weren't prepared. So that could be a prime example, actually, COVID as needing to have a nice marketing message and plan ready and strategy.
Yeah, that was one of those areas where I think, as a company, we did a good job. When COVID was happening, we were hot out of the gate, and we basically said, we are not closing, we're not going away, we're here to help you, and whatever you need, call us. Our doors are open. And
Mm-hmm.
we just kept hitting that mark over and over and over again, letting people know that we were still there, because I mean, let's face it, the common answer was, we're off, right? We're closed for a little while. So if you didn't tell people that you were open, the assumption is that you're not.
Correct. Yeah. That was one of the blessings we had, is that most of our clients were essential businesses. So that made us an essential business because they realized the importance of marketing during a pandemic. So we were blessed in that avenue.
So when people are going to go down that road, right? They're looking to get started in their marketing presence. Google AdWords, we're saying, is a good way to do that. What are you saying? What are people going to look at spending initially to get things off the ground?
So most of our clients and or prospects we talk to are on shoestring budgets, right? So
Yeah.
they want to have a whole marketing plan, and they don't realize that they actually have to put ad dollars towards Google Ads, and that's when it becomes a whole different story. And if you would ask me this question 2 years ago, I would say you could get away with $500, $750 in Google ad spend per month for B2B manufacturing. But now I would say nothing less than 1,200 to 1,250,
Okay.
just because of how large a digital presence has really grown to, and how I think there are a lot more SEO and PPC firms that are all fighting for that same spot that they necessarily weren't 5 years ago.
Yep. And that's my hang up with all of it, right? Everybody's bidding for that top spot.
Right.
And it just keeps raising the dollars up higher and higher and higher. Where I would say, for me, instead of spending that much money on a Google AdWord, we're going to do another podcast, or we're going to write something, or we're going to post some more information on LinkedIn, or whatever that looks like. What are the kind of campaigns that you see people running, or that you think people should be running?
So campaign wise, the most common is a search campaign. So that's just going to be your standard type in injection molding, your URL, your domain, maybe an image shows up for your business. Display campaign. So you see more display campaigns in B2C or the retail business, because you can showcase your products. So that'd be a good avenue for B2C, for shopping even, or display, and then video. So I think, Lines, for example, would be a perfect opportunity for video advertising in the Google space, because you have a lot of high quality videos and videography that you could have as a nice standpoint within Google. But first and foremost, I think search is just a good place to get started.
Yep. No, I would agree. Our good friend Richard Evans is joining us. He says he's sorry he's late, but dude, you're never late. You're right on time. You're here right when you're supposed to be here. Let us know if you have any questions about marketing. But that's a guy. So Richard doesn't really do that much marketing. He's got some golf balls and some things that he sends out to his customers. But he has a presence in what he's doing, right? So he's getting involved in different organizations and different things like that. And we can dive into that a little bit more. But I just love that guy, and I like bragging about that I get to be his friend. So every time he comes on, I want to talk about him.
Yeah. I hope they're Pro Vs.
What does he got? I don't remember what they were. They're on my bookshelf right now, because I don't have any time to play golf.
Yeah. That's better than in the water if I use them.
Yes. Well, if I use them, they would be in the water. Right now, I get to hold on to my gift from my friend. So when you're looking at Google AdWords, what are you thinking that people should include in those?
So when I look at Google AdWords, I would think specifically it really boils down to a healthy description, a very healthy title tag, and you're focusing on you only have a certain parameters for character limits. So for titles, you have 30 character spaces. For descriptions, you have 90. So that you have to say what you want to say in that little space you have. So for me, I found, actually, instead of having a full sentence, so for example, blah 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 was founded in 1949, we're experts in injection molding, we've been doing this, we have a team full of 48 people on our floor. Really, it's just without keyword dumping, being very strategic on adding keywords to the description and not even having it in sentence form. So if you're an injection molder, you could have injection molding, secondary operations, roll printing, pad printing, in mold labeling, and so forth. So you're including all of those keywords into a description instead of having a description that's talking about how your business has been around for 80 years. And that's not going to help you rank for anything keyword wise or Google wise. So although it is nice, yeah, it's nice little niceties for the reader, but at the end of the day, it's not going to help the campaign. So when it comes to building that campaign, really identifying direction for it. So if you want to focus on clicks, if you want to focus on impressions, if you want to focus on maximizing conversion, so getting people to fill out a contact us or an RFQ form, that's where I think those directions really have to align.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget when they're trying to do marketing, they forget how people market to them and
Mm,
what's effective and what's not. Right? When you make that statement about like pay attention to the words that you're using in your ad. Um, I don't think I've ever in my life, when I was looking for anything, looked up uh, what is a company that's been around for 80 years that has 50
exactly.
employees.
Precisely. You're
Da,
nailing
da,
that.
da, 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 right? You look up, I need a molder in Crystal Lake who specializes in medical parts.
Spot on. Yep.
Done.
Northern California based injection molder, 55 years experience, blah, blah, blah. You just get to it. Yeah.
Right. And because that's what you're putting in, right? If you're the person searching, that's what you want your ads to have. Again,
Hmm.
I think people think they've heard all these things about how to do marketing or what that should look like, and they forget that themselves are marketed all the time, right?
Oh,
When I used to have a graphic design and marketing business, I would have people say, um, "Can you help us do door hangers?"
hmm.
Nobody wants door hangers. When you come home from work and you see a door hanger on your door, you just think, that's one more thing I have to do. Now I
Yeah.
have to rip that thing off and I got to throw it away. I
Yeah.
don't care about the cleaners that's trying to get my attention this way. That's
No.
not a good strategy. It's annoying me. I don't want to use them.
Or yeah, it's worse when it's like those political campaigns, right? Like vote for blah, blah, blah. You know
Yeah,
that thing's going either in the wind or in the trash.
right. Right. And you just think, well, there's a waste of money. I'm going to
Hmm.
vote for this person and they're already wasting my money.
Hmm. Yeah. Direct mailers, things like that tend to not perform as well as they used to.
And I think in the day, direct mailers had a great point, right?
For sure.
But even as a business owner or at work, there's nothing worse than when you come to your desk and one of the office people comes in and they set a pile of papers either on your chair or on your desk, and you don't care about any of them, but you
No.
gotta look through them. I've never once gotten something like that where I thought, oh yeah, I should call them.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't care when I get my Fleet Farm magazine in the mail that's talking 20% off a BB gun. I never shot one in my life. So, you know what I mean? Just worthless. It's just worthless paper.
Right, right, and that's good because you shoot your eye out. You don't want to do that.
Incorrect. Probably
Yeah,
not
but
quite.
I just feel like people forget about themselves and what they like and what they don't like in people and conversations and being marketed to. What are those things? I think when we're talking about marketing, you need to look at what are those things that I respond to as a consumer that I should then try and do. How are companies getting my attention positively or negatively, and what can I do to do that? Uh, the nice thing, and tell me if you agree. I feel like marketing or not marketing, manufacturing is behind the times when it comes to marketing. And so we don't need to be super creative. We just need to take what other people have been doing successfully and kind of pivot it into our own space and our own industrial workshop.
Hmm.
And you become cutting edge, even though you're kind of rehashing some things or borrowing some ideas that other people have done in the past.
Yeah, and I do agree with that statement. And actually, when I first joined Vive, 4 years ago, my first role was business development, right? So I was making those ungodly cold calls I know nobody
Ugh.
wants to receive. And one of the main things people would say to me when I brought up marketing is, "We don't do marketing." And I'm like, first of all, I don't know what "do" means. So what are you referring to when you say "do marketing"? Right? Like I don't do basketball. Does that mean you don't play basketball, or you just don't do that? So yeah, I completely agree.
And I think that's a mistake. And here's what I'll say. Whether or not you think you're doing marketing or not, you're doing it, right? You're
Right.
just doing a bad job of it, right? If nobody knows you exist, you're still marketing. You're just marketing poorly.
Mm-hmm. Or
And then
you
you
just don't want to say you do it, but
right.
you.
But everything, right? The way that you walk around, what your car looks like, if you wash your car, the way you answer the phone, what your staff looks like in their appearance, what your building looks like, what your floor looks like. All of those things are aspects of marketing that you don't realize that you're paying attention, that you're buying into.
And I think nowadays, most importantly, your out of office social media presence, right? You don't want to act
Yes.
like an absolute clown on your social media channels and then go represent the business you work at.
Yeah. Well, and that's just the thing, and that goes, your personal brand. What's your personal brand say, as well? I mean, if you're going to be somebody that's going to go out and look for a job, what is your identity that the world is seeing, and is that somebody that you think is hireable or you would hire if it came up?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So we talked a lot about Google AdWords. Tell me some stuff about in-house SEO, search engine optimization. What are your thoughts on all that?
So, like you were saying earlier, there's nothing better than the classic organic reach, right? So, I don't think people realize how good SEO is. And I think a lot of companies, whether it be in manufacturing or other industries, get absolutely fleeced when it comes to getting charged an SEO retainer. There's companies that get charged $8,000, $10,000 a month for SEO, and either they're actually not doing anything or they're doing it very poorly and don't care. But it's almost one of those things. If you don't know it, you can't see it. So you
Right.
don't. You just hope that the people you're relying on are actually performing their tasks and duties. But SEO is as simple as downloading a plugin in the back end of your website. It's called SEO Yoast, and populating a meta description, which is a character limit length of about 150 to 157 characters, populating a title tag, which is about I think 50 to 70 characters in length, and that's going to be for every specific landing page in your website. So whether it's your services page, your capabilities page, your contact us page, a blog you may have just posted, all those pages need to have its own identifiable meta description and title tag. And then besides that, the page has to only have one header. That header is supposed to tell you pretty much, you see the header, that's going to tell you what's going to be below, per se. So almost like a title of an article or a title of paper. And that's really how simple in-house SEO can be. Now there's a variety of more things you can do technically that are going to improve page speed, user experience, first contextual paints, which is how fast the screen loads when you go to the website, things of that nature. But when it boils down to it, it's actually pretty simple. And I think even adding like alt text to images, so you're supposed to add a description to all the images on your website, that would pretty much be explaining it if there was a blind person on the opposite end of that image. So it can be done, and it can be done effectively, quickly, and it has to be done continually too with preventative maintenance. So.
Preventative maintenance. There's one that mold makers understand and molders understand. You need that on your website also. You can't just build it one time and think it's going to run perfectly and be fine forever, right?
Mhm.
You want to continue to make updates. How often should somebody be adding some sort of update to their website?
So update wise, I would say almost daily, for sure weekly, with plugins on your website. So an example of what a plugin would be that SEO Yoast I just talked about. Adding Google Sitekit to a website, which really just houses all the snippets and codes for Google Analytics and Google Ads and all the tracking mechanisms that goes into analytics. Another example would be Hotjar. So as I know some industries and businesses use Hotjar to see where people are hovering on the website and which call to actions are the most user engaged and recognizable. So making sure all of those are updated, as well as WordPress. So that's the number one content management system, also known as a CMS, that websites are built on. Uh, Otherwise, there's Drupal. There's you've heard of the Wixes of the world,
Yep.
and so forth. But WordPress is the number one CMS system. So making sure that's up to date. I know that we just actually dealt with a client who didn't update their WordPress for about 3 to 5 years, and we couldn't update any plugins because if we updated the plugins, the whole website would just break. So
Yeah.
that just shows you the importance of that preventative maintenance going into the back end.
We are a WordPress site. I mean, it's fairly easy to use. It's not complex.
No.
We use WordPress, and what is the? Do you remember the templates that we use for WordPress? What is that?
Hmm.
I can't remember.
There's Gutenberg, there's Envada, there's
No, it's a secondary application. It's super easy. It's just drag and drop.
right
I What is it? Divi Builder.
Divi Builder. Yeah.
Love Divi Builder. Super easy. Sometimes it feels like it's a little bit slow, but I think the ease of use for us, trumps the speed when you're going through there and trying to do it.
Right. So Divi Builder is just really similar to Elementor and the Gutenbergs and the Avada builders, where it is just a simple drag and drop. So let's say, for example, you're a manufacturing company out there and you're listening today and you just got an invoice or a quote for a website that's 5 pages long, and you got charged $30,000. You could build something like that for $1,000, $2,000. So just be cognizant of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard Evans has a question for us. He says, is there any truth that having a wider online company presence will increase SEO for your website? I've heard that having LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. pages as well as your website will make your rank better. What are your thoughts on this?
It is true because most of those channels link back to your website, right? So learn additional information about blah. Oh, and then you posted a video, and let's say you're the highlight of the video, and you say learn more about Tony, and it goes to the team page. So absolutely, because everything you post on, think about it, if you have a social media like a LinkedIn feed, almost every single post you're talking either about a capability you have, a service you offer, something cool that you've done in the community, something about your team, and generally always goes back to your website, and you're including keywords in that caption, that description. So yes, it in the long run, it does help.
And I think every time that you're adding for us, right, Alliance Laser Sales, Alliance Specialties, we're building an alliance, we're making a difference, right? All those things that we talk about all the time, it's making our business more relevant. And Google's job is to give their user, their customer, right, their customer, the best results possible for what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
So if somebody's searching for what we do, laser welding, and Alliance is showing up more than, I'm not going to name any of them, but any of our competitors, because of the effort that we're doing on social media, we look more important. We look like we have a bigger presence. We look like we have more information to give. So Google wants us to show up before they want the other guys to show up.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And a good example too, and how to be very specific, and I don't want to say exact, but close to exact when it comes to SEO. One of our clients is Rogan Molding Technologies, and
Right.
they customize and build. They make mold. They make
Right.
knobs. Excuse me, and they were showing up for Joe Rogan for 95% of their keywords. So that's a good way to utilize SEO platforms to see how many keywords are actually relevant for your brand. But since we learned that, we're able to turn them around and add actually relevant content to the website and all the SEO in the back end. But that's something that you have to be aware of, is you have to be really specific and exact. Otherwise, Google is going to pick up those keywords and maybe translate to something else that just is so irrelevant it's not even funny. So be cognizant there.
Well, and that's how, like, back in the day, all the dark websites were getting so much traffic because they were putting everything and anything into their meta tags to make them show up faster on search engines.
There has been so much that's changed in even 3 years that I've been in the SEO realm. So, example, 158 characters used to be the exact length you'd need to make a meta description. And imagine doing meta descriptions for 110 pages on a website, 158 characters in length. So you're pretty much writing, a 3-chapter book by the time you're done with it. And then a year later, Google says, "Oh, actually, best practice is 150 characters." So you got to go back and redo almost all of those.
Yeah, you got to take out 6 letters.
Yeah. So when you think you finally are up to date, up to par, Google comes right back around and says, no, you're not.
Well, and I think that that's because they're trying to keep things honest, right? They want
Mhm.
to continue to give their customers the best information possible, the results that they need to see, not just what I want them to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Google does an excellent job, I think, with that. If your web landing page is not relevant to the user search, you'll be negatively penalized. If you're driving traffic to your website and has absolutely nothing to do with what you just promoted, either if it's an ad or SEO wise, you're going to get penalized. And actually, I couldn't believe that Warby Parker, if the glass
Yep.
company, won this lawsuit, but they did. In their title tag on Google, organically and in the ad, they had 1-800 contacts in their title tag, which is just completely deceiving. So, if someone types in, contacts or prescription
Right.
lenses near me, and they see 1-800 contacts, they're going to click on it, and then it was sending them to, obviously, Warby Parker's website. So talk about misleading, talk about deceiving, and that's a way to ruin your reputation in the Google atmosphere.
Well, not even in the Google atmosphere, but in the customer
Oh,
experience, right?
yeah, guys, yeah.
Right off the bat, what are you doing? You're telling people that you're a liar, and then
Mhm.
you're going to manipulate them, and you're only looking out for your own best interest, which should not be the goal of your marketing presence.
No, you should almost take it as a challenge. Like, I want to beat out 1-800 contacts for that top spot,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's how I look
Uh,
at it.
so tell people. I think minimally, people should have a Google business profile. No.
Minimally. Most of the time when I talk to clients, prospects, they don't even know what it is. First of all, they maybe it was someone's email that they had 10 years ago that's no longer with the company, so they don't know how to access it. Maybe it's the email that they're embarrassed about. I've had my fair share. I know if Teresa's watching this, she knows exactly which one I'm talking about. I'll say it to get a good laugh. It was I love Kimmy 28 for Kim Kardashian back in the day. She was my favorite out of the Kardashians, so made an email after. But it is really important to have that Google business profile because one, you can showcase videos, you can showcase your logo, you can showcase some graphics or pictures from your manufacturing facility if you have multiple facilities. And not only is it important for the aesthetic appeal, the creative side of your business, but it showcases your hours. So your 8 to 5, 9 to 5 business hours, if you're a 24/7 operation, and then, as well as all the amenities that your business has. So let's say you're really focused on culture and you have a vending machine, you have a cafeteria, you have, let's say you have a wheelchair access, things like that, that should just be organic and natural in that type of environment. But it is like a social media profile for a business, is what I call it.
Yeah, and really that's what shows up, right? People can find out how to get to your location. It's quick access to your website. They get a little profile preview of who you are and what's going on. Scott Peters, my good friend Scott Peters, just jumped on and is listening in as well. Scotty, let us know your thoughts on how how things used to be done in marketing and how you see the change and what that looks like. I mean, you're an old dog, you know some new tricks. You're a good guy. I love you. And what that looks like. Richard Evans says, what are your thoughts on the new AI rage like Chat GPT and Bard? Rumor is Google will penalize rankings if you use AI generated text in your copy. Any truth?
Should I answer that now or wait till later? It was a talking point.
Yeah, it's a talking point on here. I mean, we can go back to I mean, we can jump in there and go through it because I think I've said it before. AI is that thing that kind of scares the living bejesus out of me right now
Yeah, sure.
because you don't know what's real.
Mhm.
And they can we're having this conversation, right? People can take this now and make us say whatever they want and have the video and it's going to look like us saying it and it's going to sound like us saying it, but it's not necessarily real. What are your thoughts on all of the new AI technology?
Yeah, good question. So, out of all the current AI technology that comes out, I do think that Chat GPT is ahead of its time. I think that they are more advanced than Microsoft's new Bing AI chatbot. I think they're more advanced than Bard's. And for those of you who don't know where GPT originated from, it was an open AI, which actually it has some correlation to Elon Musk. So you know, how advanced he is in AI and all of his, you know, new generative technologies and so forth. But AI, you have to be very careful with how you use AI, especially in a digital landscape and ecosystem. You can, you know, you can ask it to write you a 300, 500, 1,000 word blog, but it's going to be very elementary, no matter if you tell it to write it like a college professor or tell it to write it like a college, you know, essay and so forth. You're still going to have to spend at least 20 to 40 minutes editing the blog to not only making it sound personable, make it readable, make it have a better flow. Most of the time, those AI written content is going to be very informative for sure, very descriptive, but almost every single time it does write a piece of content, it's more for the user on the other end to learn about it, right? So this is where a few of our clients have fallen short, is that they have content on their website that describes what injection molding is or describes what thermoforming is. But the users they're trying to attract for the websites are those high level engineers, right? That already know what injection molding is and know
Yep.
what thermoforming is. They're just looking for a better process, specializations, capabilities, and so forth. So that they're attracting the wrong audience. So that's the same thing you have to be careful with AI. And yes, another form of that question, you will in the long run get penalized by Google for using AI because they're able to know through backend code. If you go and inspect the page and then view the page source, there's some sort of coding on the backend that shows and can connect the dots whether that information was generated through AI. So it's not a replacement yet by any means for your marketing coordinator, for your content writer, for your person you're using through Fiverr for your special needs. It's a learning curve, and it's definitely a great tool. But at the end of the day, one of my favorite quotes I've heard thus far is, "It's not going to be AI that takes your job. It's going to be the user behind AI that takes your job."
Oh, okay. I just think, when you got Elon Musk who helped create it, sitting there going, listen, it's dangerous technology.
Hmm.
Like, people are not using this the way that it was intended for it to be. It's got there's risks associated with going down that route.
100%. And this is not to get political at all. Pick any sort
No,
of
it's fine.
pick any sort of party. But Snapchat, their new AI, I've seen it multiple times now. If you ask Snapchat, should I vote for Trump in 2024? It'll tell you, I cannot give you that kind of information. This is a free world. You can decide on your own. You can do your own research, blah, blah, blah. And if you ask it, should I vote for Biden in 24? It says, yes, absolutely. He's done a great job as the American president for the last 3 years. And I think he'd be a great candidate for the next 4. So that just shows you how, careful you have to be when you use AI and not believing everything you read or see, on TV, anything, right?
And you have to realize that this was created by somebody with an agenda, right? Like, everybody has preconceived ideas. They've got their
Mm,
agenda. They got their stuff they're think about. Candace Owens was talking about how
mm,
something similar, and she said, tell me a joke about Jesus. And it wrote jokes immediately about Jesus. I don't know what the jokes were. I don't remember. I don't want to remember. And then she said, "Tell me a joke about Buddha," and it responded back, "We don't tell jokes about religion."
exactly.
And so, to your point, you have to know that this was written by somebody. This code was created by somebody with an agenda in mind and a purpose in mind, and they want their information shared like everybody else.
Right. And since we're on the Jesus train, money is the root of all evil, correct? So some of the new AI technology can actually determine how stocks are going to perform. So if you're determining how stocks are going to perform in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, it's about money.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I don't play the stock market. To me, it's gambling. It's Vegas, and I have no. You want to go to Vegas and gamble your money away? Go right ahead. But I don't trust it. Right? I don't trust the stock market. I don't trust somebody else making the decisions on what something is going to be worth, and especially when all that stuff happened with Robinhood and GameStop
Right.
and they said, wait a minute, stop, we're not doing it anymore. Well, whoa, that shouldn't be possible, where somebody else is setting the highs and lows and what something can be worth and what something can't be worth. And it all those things kind of freak me out a little bit.
And they took a lot of flack for that. And actually, I have a tab on my toolbar right now, my bookmark bar, called AI tools. And one of the most recent ones too is an AI tool that you can use to see who company wise, like let's say Warren Buffett, you can see what time, where he is location wise and geographically, what stocks is he buying at this exact time, which ones he's selling, which ones he's calling. So, if Warren Buffett's do it, you should probably be doing it as well. And that's another AI tool that's just, way over my head, but very, interesting.
Yeah, it's a really really crazy thing. The way that that's working. Scott Peter says in the old days we used print, colors, graphics, and giveaways. Today we don't even need business cards. Start with QR codes,
Yeah.
and then we add Chat and Chow and Manufacturing Alliance, and you become an influencer, and you don't even need to know what you're talking about. And yeah, that's me, man. Like, uh, I don't have the background. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the information. I can't run any machine or any process in our shop. Um, I don't need to. My job is to go out there and stir the pot a little bit and introduce people to what we do here, and use every tool in my quiver to make sure that that happens.
And you run a damn good podcast.
Well, thank you. That I'm going to say that's an opinion. If you ran Chat GPT and somebody said, "What's the greatest podcast?" It would be the Manufacturing Alliance. The reality is, it's
Yeah.
Joe Rogan. So you have to be careful with what you're listening to and what you're reading online. So we're talking about social media. What are the channels? What should people be investing in?
I feel like I should be asking you that now, but I think
I'll give you
LinkedIn.
my opinion, but
Yeah, please do after I give you mine. I think LinkedIn and followed by YouTube, followed by Facebook, and I think you can mix in Instagram, TikTok in there as well. I think TikTok will start making its headway because even I would say 6 months ago they started adding like a opportunity for you to apply directly and add your application to your profile. So some manufacturing companies were trying to take advantage of that. But when you look at the demographics and the audience on TikTok, it doesn't typically align with someone who is a CNC operator. So use it as you wish. But I think, when you talk about where you should have a brand presence, a reputation, consistent messaging, it's got to be through LinkedIn and YouTube.
yeah, I would 100% agree with you on that. I think, especially, I mean, business wise, right? LinkedIn is where it's at. I think where people make a mistake on LinkedIn is they're constantly selling, instead of just letting people know what's going on in their workplace or what's
Mm.
happening. I think sometimes people they get paralyzed with trying to make everything too perfect instead of just being real and authentic with what's going on in their business. And I say that, but we've got lights on in here. We got the camera situated in a good spot. You want it all to look nice, but
Correct.
there's a reason for that. We want people to watch this. If it looks like complete and utter dog crap, people are going to shut it off real quick.
Right.
But I think when you're using LinkedIn, you want to have a combination of those glamour shots as well as like the reality of what's actually happening, just telling stories and letting people see what's happening. The other thing I think people miss the boat on is they're always screaming for attention instead of giving anybody else attention. So instead of just scrolling through LinkedIn and making new friends and commenting on successes that other people are having, great job on that tool. It looks amazing. Tell us more about it. Encouraging people to continue to share. They're bragging about themselves and
Mhm.
not realizing that all of social media is a conversation. It's back and forth conversation with somebody. You're just not right in front of them all the time. And so you just want to be able to have that give and take. And it's natural reaction, right? You go onto LinkedIn for the day and you look up at the top and the notifications is red. You automatically want to know who clicked on there. What did they say? How do I get to respond? And so you see what they said. You want to go with, hopefully they leave a comment. They leave a comment. Now you want to go read the comment. It gives you that little hit of dopamine, right? And then you want to respond back because you're saying thank you. And it starts a conversation that allows people to get to know each other in a positive way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one thing, and I'll be honest, I think when I first started working at Vive, some of our social media channels were descriptive with captions like, we're proud, we're excited, we're happy, we've done this, we just did that, and change it to be more on the success of others, right? And how
Right.
we're excited for others and in our clients. And we're happy to be here at these, associations and at these trade shows and to be a part of it and so forth, rather than having the spotlight on us shining on them. And I think that that's where we made some headway on our social media channels as well, because people start to, I think, jive with that a little bit more, right? Because we all want to be like we are today, conversational buddies, good friends
Yeah.
on social media platforms, and respond to each other with professionalism as well as some sort of sense of a relationship and friendliness. So I completely agree with where you're coming from.
Yeah, so that's my position on LinkedIn. I think it's the strongest one. YouTube, I think, is really, really important. I think it's one of the largest search engines. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody uses YouTube. You want to learn how to do something, you YouTube it. You don't need instruction manuals anymore. You just YouTube it. And there's like 18, 30 videos. Some of them are good, some of them suck. You watch a couple of them, and now you can install a garbage disposal
Mm,
from nothing to something. And it's a tool to be able to use. And then, when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, I think those are important for businesses because that's what people are on when they're at home. And it doesn't mean you just shut off your brain and you're not thinking about work anymore. So if you can post a video or a picture that's relevant, that's going to get somebody's attention. Mold makers like molds, right? Mold makers like the technology that's going to make them better in the future. It doesn't matter if they're at work. It doesn't matter if they're at home. It doesn't matter if there's a commercial on the TV. When they're scrolling, my father has stopped me more times to show me some welding tool thing. He's like, "Hey, come here, look at this." And at that point, I don't care, but he is constantly on his phone
yeah.
scrolling. I mean, I'm not much better. Everybody's become like a high school kid on their phones, scrolling every chance they get. You sit
Yeah.
at a red light and you're bored for 15 seconds and you scroll. And so I think all of those platforms serve their purpose, and you can't go all in on one and negate the others. The only one I don't use at all is TikTok. I don't necessarily trust TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes funny. The only time I do watch TikTok is when they show up on my feeds on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I can say I don't use TikTok, even though I've seen the TikTok videos.
Mhm.
But I think even that has its place. It has its purpose. We try to have a combination of things. We've got serious posts, we got fun posts, we've got goofy things, we've got bad dad jokes that we tell. It's all those little things, but I think at the core of it, it's because it's who we are, right? We're not trying to be something that we're not. So if you run into us at a trade show, what you get is not going to surprise you, right? We're not trying to be super, super professional in everything we do in our image. And, we're professionals, obviously, but we're like everybody else. We've got a personality. We want to have some fun. We want people to understand who we are at our core when we meet them at a trade show.
Mhm.
I like to say it's like taking the first 3 dates and having them all at once when you have the social media presence.
Yeah.
So when we wind up talking to each other at a trade show, you already know who I am. You know what I'm all about. You know what our company is. We can jump right into the second, third, fourth conversation that we've ever had because there's no feeling out process. That's done already. And it's
Mhm.
just an easy, simple way to be able to do that.
Yep. And I think those channels like Facebook and Instagram are really good to show your culture, right? What you're doing in the
Yeah.
community, the presence you have, the difference you're making. And you can add that to LinkedIn as well, but I think it does have more of an impact on those more social channels rather than a business platform. And always be cognizant too of, you could pull as many analytics as you want, right? You could say my click-through rate was 1,000%. You could say my engagement rate was 950%. But if it's your, Aunt Georgia and Grandma Sue liking all of your posts, that's really not, the correct engagement rates you should be calculating if you want to gauge how your social media channels are doing.
Yep. And I think, again, I think putting it out there and letting people see it is half the battle, right? When you think of your own personal experience on social media, how many things do you click on, like, or comment on versus just see and scroll past? You
Mhm.
still saw them. It still had an impact. It left an impact on your life, on your brain. Either you went past it fast, you slowed down, maybe you told somebody about it later, but you didn't necessarily interact with it.
Mhm.
So as an owner, as a business owner, as somebody that's running the marketing department, don't get discouraged when you see low numbers of clicks or interactions. It doesn't mean people aren't paying attention, right? We've had people chiming in off and on all day while we're talking, and we have 3 people leaving a comment. Now, the percentages are really, really low. I hope the other people are finding value in this conversation. They're just listening and enjoying and growing. They're not necessarily feeling the need to engage. You have to look at, again, it's the same thing I said before about realizing how you work and how you live as an individual when somebody's marketing towards you. How are you interacting with social media? That's how other people are going to interact with social media. Just because you post something doesn't mean that somebody's going to react to it and let you know that they're reacted to it. Doesn't mean they didn't see it. Melissa has a question for us. She says, how do you guide companies that want Twitter? Twitter's a big animal right now. What are your thoughts on Twitter?
So I'm only an advocate for Twitter because I think that we have an excellent following base on Twitter as far as the businesses and industry associations that we made good relationships and partnerships with. But Twitter is difficult in B2B because unless it's something like I would say a tier one, or like a business, like let's say like a Shell or a Dow, right? And they're tweeting something that's going to impact the whole industry. There's not really much to be said about that $5 million injection molding plant that just had a Taco Tuesday party, and they're posting about it on Twitter. So I think you have to be very very specific and understand that it's different for different industries, right? So it's great for fantasy football, right? When you have those, okay, Odell Beckham, he tore his ACL, so don't draft him tonight. Those are, I think, the instances when Twitter really takes the lead. It is difficult in the B2B realm, in my opinion.
I think I would agree with you, and I would also add that I think Twitter, more than any of the other platforms, is conversational and engagement. What's difficult is a lot of companies in our space, in the manufacturing space, specifically plastic injection, they're not on Twitter. So you have nobody to engage with. It's like going to the top of a mountain and shouting an argument or a speaking point.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to hear you, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's not our space. There's not enough of the older generation, the more seasoned veterans, who are going to engage in Twitter. And if they are, they're not looking up plastic injection molding on Twitter.
Mm.
I think Christina and the team at Gardner and the team at Plastic News, I think they do a good job of trying to post on Twitter. And Christina and I have had a lot of conversations about it. The problem becomes that there's nobody to speak back. And Twitter is most successful when you have something that can be controversial and you can get multiple people start talking on that topic and that subject. And then it continues to grow and change and become viral. But it has to be something relevant that somebody wants to talk about.
Exactly.
You can go in and like kick the beehive real easy. I mean, you can just post something controversial and you will get people that want to engage. But that's not necessarily the goal either. Especially as a business, right? As a business, you want to have conversations that matter, that are lasting, that are going to put your company in a good light, not in a negative light. And I wish there was something like Twitter for manufacturing. I'm part of the SPE Mold Technologies division, and we've got a board. We have a board of members, but there's also a board of things where you can put posts out there, right? And you can put posts on and questions, and you go on there and you try and listen to what or try and read what people are posting, and somebody will post a question and nobody responds,
Mm.
and it's crickets, and we're just not using that technology. And so you can put a lot of, my opinion is, you can put a lot of effort into Twitter, where you can just realize that maybe this isn't the space for it.
Right. I think you always have to be careful what you wish for too, because I agree. I do think that it'd be very beneficial if there was a specific app that was solely focused on the B2B and manufacturing industry. And there actually one that I was partnered with for a little bit, but they had to close their doors. It was called M Hub.
Yep.
Lasted for about a year or so, maybe two. But even like an example, like the Nextdoor app, right? Everyone always like, oh, I wish I had like a neighborly app, where everyone could just share if there's been a break-in, if there's an electrical outage, some water outage, whatever it is. But then you got people selling, their microwaves left and right. And you see 15 refrigerators on the Nextdoor app, right? So you have to be careful with what you ask for, what you wish for, and how those apps are also used. And I wish Twitter would have been a little bit, have some more restrictions and guidelines to where it is now, right? Because it all started off as someone, hey, I'm in the kitchen making a sandwich. What's up? Who wants to hang out today? Question mark. I'm golfing. Who wants to come? That's how it typically was designed for. And now it's, you can buy character limits. You can buy your verified logo. That's why I think for me, it's just enough is enough with Twitter.
It's a hard thing. I mean, Twitter wants to make money too, right? I mean, I think they're making plenty of money. Elon's making plenty of money, but everybody wants to increase their game. Everybody wants to make their platform better, just like every business wants to make their business better. And it just matters what you're going to put into it. And some are winners and some are losers. As a runner, I hate when new shoes come out. Right, like I buy the Kinvaras every year. I love the Kinvaras. I'm really, really happy with them. And then they decide that they're going to make these breakthroughs to the shoes and they totally change them. And the things that I loved about it are now gone. And I have to get used to a whole new shoe when really it was fine. You don't have to change it every year. Change the colors, sure, but leave the shoe alone. And I think that's maybe what Twitter continues to do. A lot of these platforms, right? They have a good idea. They think they can be better and they end up going backwards and alienating users.
And that's the same thing. Well, actually, I have a great ad actually I saw the other day in regarding the shoes. It was by Nike. It said, "This shoe only works if you do." It just blew my mind.
Yes.
I was like, that's an absolutely fantastic advertisement by Nike. Man, I was blown away by that.
Which is surprising because nowadays, working out is seen as, the fat phobic and racist and everything else. So it's, man, the world's weird.
It's unfortunate.
It is. Real quick, Scott Peters. Oh yeah, this is exciting for us. We at the Mold Technologies division, SP Mold Technologies division, are excited because we broke 600 followers and are shooting for 1,000. It went from like nothing, so that's super exciting, and it took years to do. It's a slow process, but it's definitely worth doing it if you want that kind of recognition. Mm-hmm. Jared, we could talk forever, but we already it's an hour and 7 minutes. Not that I'm trying to get rid of you, because like I said, we can talk forever.
Yeah, we could.
But we need to wrap up because I got other stuff to do, and I'm sure you're busy and have to do some other stuff too. But we always end every show with a prayer because we think that's really, really important. So if you are watching, there's still a few of you out there. I know we've gone long, but I think the information is good, and you're welcome. So do you have any prayer requests, people out there? If you do, go ahead and put that in the chat. Richard Evans says, Kinvara for life. I buy the old models online on clearance because I don't want the new ones. Amen, brother. Amazon always has cheaper Kinvaras. They're awesome shoes.
Hey, just like Apple does it, everything's a breakthrough, right? Every new iPhone is the best they've ever made.
Yes. And it's really no different.
Kinvaras are no different.
No, well, they do make changes. They're not better, but they do make changes.
Make changes.
Yeah, not for the better. Jared, do you have any prayer requests for us?
Keep our children safe in schools.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. That's a big one. In all capacities, right? Cool. All right, I will pray for us real quick, and then we will get out of here. But before we do, thank you for being a part of the show. Let's pray, and then we'll wrap up. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to talk with Jared. Thank you for what he's bringing to our industry. Thank you for his willingness to share his knowledge, and for all that he brought to this conversation. We pray that you would be able to use this conversation to further your kingdom. And so we give it all to you in your glory. And we pray that you would watch over all of our kids, that you would watch over the schools, that you would protect teachers, that you would just help us to make this world in general a safer place. And while we wait on that, we just pray that we would be able to put our faith and trust and hope in you and know that you're in control of it, and that it's all for our good and for your glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Jared, my man, thank you. I'm so glad that I had a chance to meet you at PT Expo and that we ran into each other. It's nice when you can, talk to somebody a couple times and then realize, hey, I have a new friend.
That's cool. I appreciate the opportunity, and it is cool. Now we'll be able to give each other hugs at the next PT Expo, not a handshake, right?
Shoot, man, that's usually like second time I'm saying hello or goodbye to somebody.
Yeah,
I meet people, I give them a handshake, and I usually follow it up with, "This is the last handshake you get.
I like
From
that.
now on, it's a hug." Because, you know, that's where relationships are. That's I don't want just customers or acquaintances. I want to build real relationships with people, and that's not for everybody. That's for us. So thank you for all your knowledge and for your time and for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, everybody. That was Jared Falkner from Vive. We have their contact information. I suppose we should have asked him for his contact information and how people can get a hold of him. But I'm sure Vanessa has that, and she will be adding it right there, right now. So if you are seeing that, that's how you get a hold of Jared. The guy's got a lot of knowledge, and he's ready to help. And Vive is a great company. We see them at a lot of the shows. They support the industry and manufacturing as a whole. So it's nice to be able to support those that support our industry. So look into them, give them a call. And really, for me, I just want to say thank you to the AMBA. We had a great conference last week. We were able to have another E210 event, which was incredibly successful. We worked with what was it? Kids Food Basket. We work with Kids Food Basket in the greater Grand Rapids area. And what Kids Food Basket does is it's in the name, right? There are way too many kids in the Grand Rapids area that don't have meals, that don't have food. And so we were able to change that a little bit. We were able to package over 400 meals for kids in the Grand Rapids area with people from all across the country. So we all came together before the AMBA conference, packed up 311 pounds of food. We were able to get that delivered. And here's the thing that I'm realizing. Manufacturers are amazing, and if you don't know that yet, you're not getting out enough. With like 3 days notice with what we were going to do, we let people at the conference know what was happening, and we had 20 people show up before the conference even started and knock out all of that food, and it was incredible. I thought this was going to take an hour and a half to get done. In 20 minutes we were done doing all the food, and it wasn't because people wanted to leave. It was because they had the idea that the faster we went, the more we could do. We ran out of food in 20 minutes and we were done. And then throughout the week, we had people come over and say, "We tried to come by. You guys were done too quickly." So would I be so bold as to say we would have had 40, 50 people show up? I think absolutely we would have. It was my fault for under planning how much food we needed, but I just wasn't sure what to expect. So now in future events, we are going to come prepared with more food. We're going to come prepared with more opportunities to serve. And we want to do that with you. So I think the next one we might be attending is maybe the molding conference in Minneapolis. I am talking with Allie and Christina about that right now. So that will be an opportunity for us all to come together and do something amazing. So that's it. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments and your chats. We love having this show for you, our audience, and we want to tell your stories. So if you would like to be part of the Manufacturing Alliance, or you know of a show that would be good, go ahead and send us a message to Vanessa F at alliancelasersales.com, and we will be sure to get you some information so that you can be part of the show. Next week is a show, and it's Marion. Marion is amazing. We're going to be talking about the next generation of workers, which I know is a sticking point for a lot of people. You know, those darn millennials. I don't buy into it. It's just a title. Everybody's got their own stuff, and we need to realize that. So Marion is going to be coming on with us Wednesday. She's an amazing person, tons of energy, love her to death. So I hope you can join us for that. But until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.